Welcome to my live. Welcome to my Sunday live. Hopefully you guys have had a great day today. And I got some new tech gear, so I'm a little rusty with it. So I got like a new keyboard, a new mouse, so just bear with me tonight, but it should go fine. So how's everybody doing this evening? When you guys are entering, if you guys could just like the video as you guys come in, that helps the channel. We are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. So we are doing our next giveaway at 5,000 subscribers. We are getting so close. We are almost at 4,000 subscribers now. So I'll share the screen with you. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. So let me know how you guys are doing as I'm showing you this. Also, you can join the membership. I posted it in the comments, and I'll post it again just in case. So if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by, just joining the membership or just being here really and just liking the videos. That's a good way to support the channel as well. So let's see here. So the other day, where am I at? I'll show you, actually, I will share this with you. So our number is, as of right now, we are at 3740, and it's updating live. So our subscriber count, will be updating live tonight. And then, I don't know if you guys remember, but, because, it's different people, different times, but when we did a live, it was a couple days ago, I had asked you guys, I said, why hasn't anybody, and I figured not that they really would, but why hasn't anybody come forward to say that they were, that they had ever dated Bryan Kohbergers? So that's what we'll be discussing tonight. That's part of what we'll be discussing tonight. So just to let you guys know what we will be discussing, if I can get that out, we will be discussing the Idaho 4 case. That's what we've been kind of talking about on this channel since it happened. We will be discussing Bryan Kohbergers. In the beginning of the live, I just kind of want to go through some of his Reddit posts, and they're kind of creepy, and a couple little news articles that I found. And then after that, we'll watch the NewsNation. Brian Entin is doing a special tonight. He's doing a live. I don't know if it's a live special. It might be. It's like a primetime special thing. So he's doing it. Kaylee Gonzalez's sister, Olivia, is actually going to be speaking out for the first time since finding out who had murdered her sister. So I thought that would be a good watch. So good evening. I don't need 5,000 tonight, but that would be nice. Not tonight, but no. So we need 5,000. We're going to do a giveaway. So when we hit 5,000, just whenever we hit it, we're going to do a giveaway. But, the sooner the better. Hi, Marilyn. I'm going to go back up in the chat. That way I can see everybody. Hi, Sugar and Spice. And then I don't know if Bruce and Jeannie saw, not that I'm saying the name again. I remember the name from last night. So yeah, I think we were in agreement that it was the second page that was photocopied. Hello, Spilled Beans. New here. Oh, good. Thank you for liking the video. I appreciate that so much. I really do. I really, really, really do. You guys are great. Good evening. Really like your channel. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really try my hardest around here. Last night we had some technical difficulties, but you guys stuck it out with me. I mean, it literally took me, I think, it was record time. I got back on here. My computer somehow, I think it was just overworked and it shut down. It just was like, boop, ain't gonna work anymore. So I hopped on my iPad because I always have you guys up on my, this side. That way I can see the chat and just know everything's kind of coming up, good, and you guys can see it. And I literally was like, I'll be right back to you guys. And you guys stayed. And then it was so great that you guys did that. So remember we were talking about the other day about how no one's came forward saying that they have dated Bryan Kohbergers or they've never went on a date with him. I'm like, not even a one-night stand has come forward. I mean, I know it would be really embarrassing to want to admit that you were around that person like that. But I figured someone would come out, and they did. I don't know the truth to this, but I've heard it a couple times, and this actually came out a few days ago. But I didn't mention it. I didn't know about it actually until I think yesterday or today. So when I mentioned it on the live the other day, I didn't know that someone had actually come forward. So someone did. Did they? Oh, you know what? I came in this room and I know the Eagles had to have won because if they didn't, I'm just going to have to shut the live off and just go cry. Yep, 22-16. Oh wow, it started to become a good game after I left. Then I left it. It was I don't know. We were up. They hadn't scored, so I'm glad that we won. So my team won too. So the Eagles are doing good, and the Steelers won against Cleveland. Oh wow. I didn't even know that Cleveland was still in it. Good for Cleveland though. They never get a chance. I mean, they really don't. Those poor guys. I've lived in Ohio most of my life, and I've always been an Eagles fan. And Eagles fans know we had our Super Bowl and we earned it. But normally we make it to the playoffs every year. We just don't do good after that. It's like we forget how to play football once we get to the playoffs. But we did really good today. So this girl went on a Tinder date with Bryan Kohbergers. Can you imagine that? Girl claims Idaho murder suspect was creepy when they went out. And so it says right here, I went on a Tinder date with him. And he gave me really creepy vibes, and I was scared to ask him to leave, so I pretended to loudly vomit in the bathroom so he would leave. Always listen to your gut. Can you imagine being that girl that you're so creeped out by this guy that you would rather go into your restroom and act like that you're violently getting sick than have to spend one more minute with him? So she posted on the Reddit thread about her experience. And it says, the user posted in the comment section of Hobot's news saying, I went on a Tinder date with him and he gave me really creepy vibes and I was scared to ask him to leave. So I pretended to loudly vomit in the bathroom so he would leave. She added at the end of her post, always listen to your gut. And then there's some more like that are down here that's more like detailed. These are like, just kind of tells you that that's what it says up here in the writing, but I'll just read these to you. It says, I went on a Tinder date with him and he gave me really creepy vibes and I was scared to ask him to leave. So I pretended to loudly, vomit in the bathroom so he would leave. I didn't mean to read that for the third time again. Always trust your gut. And it says, and this person said, good thing you thought of doing that and that he actually left. It was like, I think this was a Facebook group or something she put this in. And then it was like, great thinking. Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. It says, and then this person put, oh my God. And then, dude, you have any messages with him or how was he creepy? And so she wrote so someone wrote her and was like, how was he creepy? Can you give me any screenshots, proof or something? And she put, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I only talked to him on Tinder. This was like over 7 years ago. He just kept trying to touch me and kept looking at me and laughing weirdly. And when I would ask why he was doing that, he would literally tell me he didn't. So he was poking her and touching her or whatever. And then laughing weirdly about it. And then she would be like, what are you doing? And then he would say, I didn't do anything. That's weird. And then she put, and then after he left, he told me I had good birthing hips and I just never talked to him again. LOL. Whew. So if this is legit, he's a charmer. Put that underneath. You can put that on the resume. But I will say, I met Vincent on Tinder, so I can't say nothing about Tinder being a bad spot because I'm and we've been together almost 7 years next month. So that, Tinder can work, but not for this guy. Who does that? I think that was all this post was really about. Because I don't want to read like the whole thing to you. It wasn't, I gave you the gist of it. But yeah, that was, she put this under, I've never heard of that news before. It looks like it's a Facebook. Like a Facebook news or a Facebook group or something maybe. Yeah, I live in Ohio, but I love my Steelers. Yep, I live in Ohio, but I still love my Eagles, even though I haven't been in Philadelphia in a long time. It's been a long time. I really would like to go back. Let me see here. I was going to read this one to you too. So I was going to go over some of this stuff that, just like a few things since we're waiting on the show to kind of start to. And then tomorrow I'll be doing live in the morning at 9:15 a.m. too. So this one is, it says the chilling messages, because I don't know if you guys have heard about them going around like different Reddit groups, or you'll see different Facebook groups that'll have like post, and they won't have anybody like, so they have like a Reddit post and it hasn't been touched or messed with since like he got arrested, I think in a Facebook group, something like that. Also, the Reddit posts that I have are from when he was younger. So I believe that those are legitimately him. My live video is very blurry. I shouldn't be. Is it like am I blurry, or is the screen blurry? Or maybe if you like refresh on your side, it looks okay on mine. Anyone know if the Seahawks won? Let's see. The Seahawks won 16-19. 19-16, I guess you would say, but yeah. Against the Rams. I'll say it shouldn't be blurry, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read this to you guys. Okay. Okay, guys. So so that's what this is about. So when I was asking you guys if you had heard about any of the like discussion groups, I don't use Facebook a lot, but I think that there's a few different discussion groups that have this in there as well. So you guys you may have seen this floating around Facebook. I'm the worst at using Facebook anymore. I used to be really good with using it. Now I don't use it at all. Oh, maybe it's like, I don't know. You should be able to read them. Like I put yours up there, and yeah, I can read it. Let me know if anyone else is having any troubles reading it. And then I can try to like zoom in on this for you guys too. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can zoom in on the actual article for you guys. Oh, I think it will. Hold on. No, maybe not. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that actually let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. It says the chilling messages ex-FBI investigator believes Bryan Kohberger posted in online discussion groups before his arrest with details about Idaho murders no one could have known. Former FBI investigator Jennifer Koffendorfer suggested that suspect Bryan Kohberger joined social media discussion groups about the Idaho murders. Many now believe Kohberger is the man behind the Papa Rogers Facebook and the Inside Looking Reddit accounts. And the Inside Looking Reddit account one, I wanted to go more in depth in that in another live. Maybe we'll do that on Tuesday's live if you guys are interested in that. And I could do the Papa Rogers Facebook one too if I can find that one. Both accounts made chillingly accurate speculations, and the person behind them was accused of being the real killer on Facebook and Reddit. One of the moderators of the Facebook group noted that the Papa Rogers account went silent following Kohberger's arrest. So that's the one I was talking about. I knew that there was one. A former FBI investigator has suggested that Bryan Kohberger, who is accused of slaying 4 Idaho college students, joined online groups discussing the killings. Do you think that he would do that? I think that he would. What do you guys think? Do you think that he would like have the gall to do that? I forgot my hot cocoa tonight. That's okay. I knew I was forgetting something. This says Jennifer Koffendorfer said that she's been following the comments of a Facebook user with the handle Papa Rogers, who, along with a Redditor with the handle Inside Looking, made chilling speculations about the murders that turned out to be true. In an archive about the 2 online personas who frequented discussing discussions about the brutal slayings. Both users accurately pointed out the timeline of the killings and the fact that the police found a knife sheath all before the details were publicly revealed. Have you guys seen that stuff before? Have you seen the Papa, like these two accounts? Let me see. Hey there, are you doing the Nancy Grace special, which is on after NewsNation? I might. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. That's so nice. Maybe, yeah. I didn't know that it was on. So it's on CNN. Is it her podcast or is it her CNN? I hope it's her podcast, just because then I can do it. So you've seen some of you guys have seen it. You've heard of it, but not seen it. Okay, we might have to do a live on that. See, I saw the screenshots, but I'm not good. Okay, so I'm not good with Reddit. I'm learning, y'all. This is like a whole learning experience. I used to do Facebook, Instagram, and I still do because I own a boutique, and TikTok here and there. That was like basically what I would do. And now when I'm over here, it's more Twitter, Reddit, and all these like different groups. And I'm just like, oh, that would be great, Pretty K. If you could, yeah, my email is titaniumbuilt@gmail.com. I'm just going to put it in the chat. Oops. I got a new keyboard, so I'm like trying to make sure I spell everything right. Oh, and I didn't put the A in there. There we go. I put it in the chat too. So yeah, he was going into these, I guess, these subreddits or, these Reddit posts, and then he was going into these Facebook groups. They're thinking it was him, and he was, I guess, dropping hints, only that the killer would know. It says both users also appeared to repeatedly insist that their speculations were accurate and were both accused of being the real killer in their respective groups. Wow. Coffin Duffer appeared to side with those who believe that at least one of the accounts belonged to Kohberger 28, who has maintained his innocence. I didn't know he had maintained his innocence. He hasn't talked about his innocence, has he? That's so strange. I saw the Papa sheath mention. But is that hard to consider police determining knife type before autopsy and guessing it was a sheath that was found? Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was going to say too, actually I have this written down for tomorrow, but I'll say it now. The way that they were like, so if you look on page 2 of the, like, if you have the probable cause, even the injuries, they're stating that like they're different. Like, so this, like, Ethan's injuries are described as sharp force injuries, and when they describe Kaylee and Maddie's injuries, they're described as visible stab wounds. And we're going to go over that in tomorrow's live too, because I feel like that's pretty big. Like, that's 2 different ways in the same paragraph to like mention different people's, wounds. Yeah, he's maintained his innocence, but I don't think he's maintained anything other than he smiled when he sat down. He drove his own car, carried his phone, and didn't clip in his sheath tight enough. So I do believe he could leave a digital trail, she wrote in a tweet. He was a hot mess. Intelligence with no common sense equals a criminal bound to be caught. How many times have we said that on the channel? No common sense. You could be book smart, but I mean, it's always something small that gets people caught. And it's always like, I would never. Like, you hear people, they're like, I would never get caught. I would never leave my DNA at a crime scene. And then you see them get arrested, like, they're like, yeah, they used to say they would never get caught. I see it on too many documentaries. And hi, Crime Sleuth. And I don't know if I said hi to you, but I meant to. I don't know if I did or not. Sorry if I didn't. I'm like, did I? Or the cops would know, yeah. Yep, it stopped once it was, okay, yes, it stopped once he was arrested, okay. The scrutiny into the online discussion groups comes as Kohberger was denied bail, while prosecutors revealed his DNA was found on the knife sheath lying next to one of the victim's bodies. There he is. And then let me check the chat real quick. Sorry. Oh, I didn't realize that I didn't go down. I didn't realize that. Okay. All righty. I think that was all of it. Oh, no. Okay. And that's her. If you haven't seen her, she's been on like the news like a lot. It says, in the popular Moscow murder Reddit group, the user Inside Looking made of several speculations about the murder as police remain quiet about the full details of the murders. One of the posts read, killer parked behind the house, approached property through the tree line, entered sliding door, and left it open. Committed murders and exited sliding door. One knife, according to coroner statement. Time of murder approximately 3:20 a.m. to 3:40 a.m. according to car fleeing seen and on camera on Highway 8 approximately 3:45 a.m. Vehicle left skid marks upon exit. They were like out there, I guess, taking pictures of something out, you know, do you think that they would be stupid enough to peel out afterwards? Sorry, sometimes I like show your comments. Like, it's so weird. It's being an error, so I don't know why it's not letting me show that comment, but I don't know why. It says, Inside Looking also accurately pointed out that the picture of a shoe print police were investigating belonged to the suspect. Ooh. The prints did not match those of the victims or anyone in the house, leading investigators to believe they were left by the intruder or by the murderer. The user also insisted that the white Hyundai Elantra would be the key to cracking the case, predicting that it would lead police to the suspect. I mean, that's just common sense, though. I feel like they were looking for that car, like so hardcore that I feel like that was going to go back to the suspect. Who's rapping? Oh, him rapping? What, Phantasmatic Ether? Where's that at? No way, Jose. He's legit rapping. I want to hear. I won't get like, oh man, well, like, is it like a popular rap song though? I'll probably get copywritten. I want to get copywritten. Just for a song, but I will listen to it. We can all listen to it and then discuss it. I can pause it. But yeah, let me know. You just emailed it to me? Okay. What kind of song is it? All right, let me pause it for a minute or mute you guys so just in case. Hold on. You don't know the timestamp, do you? Oh man. Yeah, we'll have to look into that in a minute. That's crazy. Wonder what song it is. Oh no, he made it his own. It was awful. Oh man. Oh gosh. Oh geez. I'll have to look into that when we're oh my Lord. It says the user, okay, so where were we at? I think I was almost done with this. Amid their speculation, Inside Looking appeared to draw attention to themselves, with many remarking about their detailed post. One sure commented, dude is solving his own crime. Psycho. Some also have pointed out that a profile picture for Inside Looking features a person dressed in all black wearing gloves and a headlamp. And that says, this is the Inside Looking post, I guess. This was 16 days ago. I think this one is a new article too. So speculation, killer parked behind the house, approached property through the tree line. Imagine being like, if you were the person that did this, if you would write this yourself. Like, let me know if you would actually write this and put it out there. Killer parked behind the house, approached property through the tree line, entered sliding door and left it open. Committed murders and exited sliding doors. One knife, according to coroner statement. Time of murder approximately 3:20 a.m. to 3:40 a.m. according to car fleeing scene and on camera on Highway 8 approximately 3:45 a.m. Vehicle left skid marks upon exit. Please see photos above for more information. Well, I mean, we can just look at the PCA and see if it's in there. if he's on camera at 3:45, but I don't think he was at 3:45. And then, so this person, put, well, I guess I should have better rephrased that. It seems like you have strong confidence in your speculations. And this is inside looking. He put, I keep my speculations short. The picture of our neighbor's home indicate it would make sense for their camera to be pointed at their driveway with 4+ cars in the street. Dwellers want to protect their property. Okay. And then it says, oh, okay, just seem to have a lot of info / speculation. Let me see how many of these we have. Okay. I don't want to go through like the whole subreddit with you guys. Well, maybe. We got like 15 minutes. I can just do the other ones tomorrow. I didn't realize that all these were here. So, yeah, we'll go through these. I just don't want to miss anything on NewsNation either. So everyone remind me when it's 9. And it says, let's talk about after the murders. I know there has been a ton of speculation / theories leading up to the murders, what happened during, even how the killer exited. But I want to hear everyone's thoughts on what he, and then in parentheses, she did in the immediate hours following the murders and what this person has been doing in the weeks since. Do you think they immediately went home? Did they walk / drive home? Have they been back to the area, specifically near the house, acting casual following the media storm? And then this person replied to their Reddit post, and he put, rush of adrenaline, very excited. And then he put another comment, speculation, Elantra is connected. Ellie knew and searched for this car since day one. Owner has not come forward. Anonymous reports of white car being perp immediately following the homicides. And that was okay. So this says, this is the original Reddit profile image that Inside Looking had up. Look closely at what he's wearing, all black, gloves, and a headlamp. Flash on phone for additional lighting. I wonder when / where / why this was taken. I don't know. People wear headlamps. I don't know. I don't know about that. Him wearing a headlamp doesn't really, that doesn't matter to me. I don't know. But I guess that could be something. I don't know. It says a similar incident occurred with the Facebook user Papa Rogers, a member of the University of Idaho murder case discussion group. In one post of the group flagged by Coffin Dapper, Rogers wrote, of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. Rogers appeared to insist that the sheath was real and even butted heads with other members about it, who accused him of communicating like a serial killer. Why do I feel like Jennifer Coffin Dapper actually came out and said, like when someone was like, the sheath was found, I swear she did an interview saying something like, yeah, didn't I tell you the sheath was found? So did she like read this subreddit and go off of this? Like her, even though she's an FBI like person, like she just like read this and go off of it too, I guess. I don't know. Isn't that just kind of weird? Now I'm going to have to go back through the interviews. Because I swear she said that. Because I'm like, I remember her saying that. And I remember being like, that's kind of weird that, you said, oh, I was just so right. Because it's just like, I don't know. And then it says, Rogers appeared to insist that the sheath was real and even butted heads with other members about it who accused him of communicating like a serial killer. An admin of the group later clarified that despite Rogers' apparent authority in the group, he was never an admin or moderator. That's kind of funny. I think everyone kind of knows someone like that. A little pushy. Christine Cameron wrote, he was on her and argued incessantly with people and said some really creepy stuff and posted similar questions to Brian's crime questions. We removed Papa Rogers at 7:10 the evening before Brian's arrest. He created a group page and had 6 people in it. No one has heard from Papa Rogers since the arrest. So I wonder why they removed him, just for him being like, I don't know. I guess him saying stuff on the Facebook group. Okay, yeah, I'll look at my emails in just a second. Oh man, my eye is watering like crazy. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. I need to get my eye looked at. So this is just the video of them taking out the bedding and stuff like that. They have it zipped up in like bag covers, but you can see stuff on it. So I'm not going to let it be on the screen for too long. But it says, I have followed. Oh, look. It says, I have followed Papa Roger comments with intrigue. This comment was of particular interest after the release of the PCA. The comments just seemed to hit home. So maybe this is what she did the interview on. And then it just has the hashtags. Of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent with as... So yeah, case says right here, University of Idaho murders, and this is case discussion, Papa Roger, November 30th. Of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. This evidence was released prior to autopsies. Very weird. Dustin Stubblefield, I'm only responding to you. Okay, this is from Papa Roach to Dustin Stubblefield. I'm only responding to you. Why would you even bring up the killer? Thought odd. And then it says, Papa Roger, sorry I trashed your stupid sheath theory and you couldn't take it. And then he said, Papa Roger, any other brainbuster theories? And maybe they found a receipt laying in the kitchen for the knife. And then Papa Roger put, why are you angry? And then he put, why are you communicating like a serial killer? Why did I just do that? I'm like, why did I just do that? I just lost my spot. There we go. Yeah, so I don't know. And then he was removed from the group. And it just says admin here. No, Papa Roger was never a mod or admin in this group. He was on here and argued incessantly. And I think I read that, yeah, with people. So I guess he just liked to go on the groups. If that's him, he just likes to go on the groups and yell at people and cause a scene. And if it is him, then it sounds like it could be. Because I don't see him ever doing that without holding a knife in real life to somebody. I don't see him talking like that in real life to people. What else? So actually, I'll just go through those other Reddit posts tomorrow because we won't have time to go through them. But what else? And then here it just says how the Idaho killer crept into victims' house and murdered them. And it kind of shows the layout of the house, which I kind of like that they did it this way. It's just another way to look at it, I guess. Let me see if I can get this. Well, it won't let me. Okay, oops. I just did it again. Sorry, guys. We only have a few minutes, so. And then, so yeah, so the suspect, when I did we had a live last night and I had a timeline that I did. Like I did timelines for Brian and then I did timelines for, the people that like, all of the roommates, surviving roommates and the roommates that did not survive, in the house. I did a full timeline on, Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and then even one on Dylan. But we're gonna deep dive into the one on Dylan tomorrow because I'd rather do we did the PCA, probable cause. We read it on a live, but now that I'm tearing it apart and I'm reading it section by section and I'm just going really slow, I'm finding more and more things that are just off. It's just a little weird. So if you didn't catch the live last night, make sure you go back and watch last night's live. It was really good live too. I think it was anyway. We had a good turnout. And if you guys could, since we're waiting, we're getting ready to actually play the NewsNation clip here soon. If you guys could like the video as you guys are coming in, subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you. We are doing live subscriber count tonight, so we are up to 3746. We're trying to get our subscriber count to 5,000. That way we do another giveaway for you guys, and I get my TitaniumBuilt sign for me. So little for you, little for me. And go back to here really quick. So yeah, so he only had 16 minutes on my timeline, and I saw that somewhere else today that it said 16 minutes. So my timeline must have been pretty right on. I don't know if I can pop it up. I'm probably not very fast, but and then this looks like his phone pings the middle picture there, and I don't want to show that. Sorry. It like. You can tell that there's like staining on the mattresses and stuff. I feel bad for the families to have to see that stuff too. And I don't think that when like NewsNation, I think put the photos out first. I think when they put the photos out, I don't think they saw what they saw. I think they just put the photos out because they were just ready to put photos out, and it like ended up being something on, you know what I mean? Like to where it's just so bad. I can't believe how they removed those mattresses. It was very unprofessional. Yeah, I think so too, Nellie B. Oh, thank you, Tracy3. Just found you subbed and liked. Oh, thank you. Oh, you guys are so nice. I know that I just keep reading the affidavit and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm just like, I'm glad I'm picking it apart. And I'm one of those people, like, I'm surprised I don't have whiteboards all over the back there yet. I was bringing them out yesterday. Yeah, because I did timeline stuff yesterday for you guys to look at, and because I'm trying to do more visuals for you guys, and I had like the whiteboard out and I was like, no, there's no way I could do this all on a whiteboard because it would have been unlegible. Yeah, he was making U-turns before. He was going around in circles before the attack too. And then he came back. So that's what gets me. He came back I wonder how it felt to be him. Coming back to the scene at 9:12, thinking that the police are probably going to be there, probably ambulances everywhere, kids are going to be like freaking out, and you come and you pull up and there's nothing going on. Nothing. Especially if you did in fact see Dylan when you were coming out to go out the back door. If she saw you and you saw her, then yeah. Why didn't they get at least a box truck or something? Yeah, I don't know why they didn't get like I don't know why they didn't get a U-Haul or something like that. Something that it would be covered, completely covered. The mattress cover can only do so much. I mean, what if it just started pouring down rain on their way to the sheriff's office or something? It wouldn't even have been covered. And you would think that they were taking all that out to preserve it for evidence, for testing, or maybe the defense wanted it for testing. That's what I was wondering. I wondered that too. Is it normal to say suspect vehicle 1? Like, it's a question, like, yeah, like there's more than one. You have a good eye too. You have an eye for details like I do. Yeah, there was a couple things, like the way that they said that, you know, Ethan's injuries were described compared to Kaylee and Maddie's injuries, how they were described. And when I looked up sharp force. I said, what's considered, like, because they considered Ethan's wounds sharp forced wounds. Sharp force wounds are defined as incised wounds, penetrating incised wounds, chop wounds, non-human bites, and then punctures for medical or illicit use. Oh, I guess like that's probably like needle marks or something. So yeah, I don't know. That's not the same as stabbing. Actually, let me go ahead and pull up NewsNation. Okay, oops. Okay, let me see here. Sorry, guys. Let me see. Hopefully everybody's having a great Sunday, and you guys all don't have to go to work tomorrow. But I bet you guys do. Bet some of you do anyway. Oops. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to do that to your ears. Just go ahead and get it up and ready. This is so convenient that, like, I can just pull this up. It's so much easier than having to, like, I don't know. This is just so much easier than having to find it tomorrow and, like, clip it together for you guys. We can just watch it tonight. We can see what's going on. And, yeah. Let me go ahead and share the screen with you. If I can find it. And then I'll see if there's anything on... let me see here. I was going to see if there's anything on his Twitter. But it doesn't look like it. It just says that Olivia, you know, Kaylee's sister, will join him live. It says me live, so yeah, so it must be live. And it says it's her first interview since the arrest. She has worked so hard behind the scenes for her sister. And then for those of you asking how to find, you know, NewsNation. Okay, I thought there was more, but that's it. So I'll share the other tab with you guys again, and then it should be coming on. And then when it comes on, I'll turn it up pretty loud, but I'll try not to turn it up like all the way, so it's not like blasting everybody's ears. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I love NewsNation. They are my jam right now. Like, I just love it. You miss hearing the bugs barking. They're being really good today. I'm going to let them come in here whenever, if they'll be good, like, and they'll lay there. Like, I'll let them, like, lay behind me there. Because they are good girls, which I have, like, something on the floor here. What's this all over? Oh, is this it? Okay, yep. Let me go ahead and turn this up for us.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And the chilling revelation that a criminology student may just be one of the most sought-after criminals.
I looked at the picture and I was like, I couldn't believe who it was. It was Bryan Kohbergers.
But this mystery is just starting to unravel.
I said early on that we're not going to let any stone go unturned, and I meant that.
And the dots are just starting to connect.
He was always showing up a little late.
And he told me he's fascinating on what he's doing and stuff like that.
Tonight, what led investigators across the country to Bryan Kohbergers' front door? And what could bring the families of Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan one step closer to a conviction.
There's going to be somebody there looking him in the face and letting him know that this isn't going away anytime soon.
A NewsNation special report, Idaho murder mystery.
This is just the beginning.
Starts right now. Good evening, I'm Brian Entin, live from outside the jail in Moscow, Idaho, for this NewsNation special report. For more than a month now, I have been here as this town and really the world was trying to make sense of what happened inside the home where 4 college students were brutally murdered. At the time, we did not know a lot. Some worried that this case would never be solved. But this past week, so much has happened. A suspect charged, and with that, an arrest document that laid out how police connected Bryan Kohberger to this crime. Tonight, we are taking you through these major developments step by step, the facts of the case and what we still don't know. We're going to dive into the forensics, the DNA, the cell phone data, and how this could all lead to a conviction. And we are going to remain centered on the victims throughout. Kaylee Gonzalez, Maddie Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle, because at the end of the day, really, it is all about them, their families, their grief, and justice. I'm going to be joined by Kaylee's sister, Olivia, She is speaking out for the first time since the arrest was made, and we thank her very much for joining us tonight. But first, so many new details from a single document, changing almost everything we thought we knew about what happened on November 13th.
It seems likely that maybe they were sleeping.
That was the narrative about the 4 college students killed in the King Road home that we heard for weeks. But the new arrest affidavit paints a very different story. A night that had everyone in their rooms or asleep much later at 4 a.m., except for Xana, who ordered food on DoorDash. After that, a surviving roommate notes a series of sounds that woke her up. What she thought was Kaylee playing with her dog. The words, "There's someone here," crying from Xana's room, and a male voice saying something like, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And then the most shocking of them all. According to the affidavit, the surviving roommate opens the door and sees what appears to be the killer, clad in black clothing with a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose, walking towards her. She describes him as not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows, and stood in a frozen shock phase as he walked past her and back out the sliding glass door. She then locked herself in her room. 911 was not called until 11:58 that morning.
But still this interesting question of she didn't call the police.
But it raises a question as what was happening in that period of time.
Obviously, you'd like to call right away so you can have an immediate response and get on it. But unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world.
Investigators at the scene found 2 traces of a possible suspect, a shoe print just outside the door of the surviving roommate's bedroom, and a knife sheath that had K-bar and USMC on it. A single source of male DNA was also found on the button snap.
A very subtle finding, if you will, on the sheath to find his connection there, find the DNA, and I think that's the money.
As investigators scoured the neighborhood for cameras and clues, a car stuck out, the white Hyundai Elantra. It's the same car investigators asked for information about over and over again, insisting they wanted to speak to the occupants inside.
Do you believe that the killer was in that car?
We think that they were in the immediate area of the house of the residents.
What we didn't know at the time was investigators knew it was Bryan Kohbergers' car by November 29th.
He was under surveillance, I think, from the time that they realized that this is going to be where the evidence is leading them to.
On December 23rd, they got a search warrant for his cell phone records.
The data that is generated by a cell phone is quite alarming.
Those records put Kohberger near the crime scene at least 12 times before the murders. It's also in the area in the early morning hours of the crime and right after. Investigators believe the phone may have been turned off or in airplane mode in between. We believe that he fled the scene according to the probable cause affidavit. They described the route that they believe he took based on surveillance video and just a knowledge of the area. This is the house where the murders happened. We believe he came out the back door and then left in this direction. You can see on this map, police say Kohberger went way out of the way to get back to his home in Pullman, going down a country road and making it to his apartment around 5:30 a.m. 4.5 hours later, Kohberger's phone is near the Moscow house again from 9:12 to 9:21 a.m. and back home in Pullman by about 9:32. Later that day, there is another 3-hour window where the phone was out of service again. Investigators say that is consistent with the same location as the phone after the murders, perhaps retracing his steps one last time. And between November 29th and November 23rd, authorities surveilled Kohberger's car using license plate readers and cameras. And they got even more information during 2 traffic stops in Indiana on December 15th, when Kohberger and his father were pulled over for minor infractions.
Where are you headed? Well, we're coming from WSU.
When investigators confirmed Kohberger's car was in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, things escalated. On December 27th, agents recovered trash from the Kohberger family home and sent it to the Idaho State Crime Lab for testing. It came back as a profile matching the DNA of Kohberger's biological father, a match for the DNA left on the knife sheath.
They have his DNA at the crime scene, they have his car in and around the crime scene, they have his phone not active around the crime scene. So all of those things work to put him there, but the essential question really is why?
I want to bring in Kaylee's sister now, Olivia. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Olivia. You know, I remember from when we first started communicating, when all of this began, you told me that you believed that this was going to be a stranger who came into the house. And according to the police, you know, you were right the way that all of this played out. But what did you think when you first learned that Bryan Kohberger was the suspect?
I think we always presume, you know, innocence. I don't think it really hit me until the affidavit was released and I was able to kind of read that and process that. And then you not only have a name and a face, but, you know, the beginnings of a case against him.
You have been working so hard behind the scenes, and I don't think a lot of people realize that because in many ways your dad has sort of been the face of the family. But since the beginning, you've been digging into this and trying to find leads and sending things to the police. And you told me that, you know, you didn't feel like you would be able to really grieve until there was an arrest made. Do you feel like now you're able to do that?
I think my family as well as myself are starting to get there. And it's kind of an odd time to do that, being that we still have such a long road ahead of us. But the relief that we all felt having a suspect in custody was, it was like, I can't even describe it. Like the weight of the world was lifted from our shoulders.
The court process now, though, I mean, that's, you know, your dad has told me that can be overwhelming to think about, the fact that you guys are going to have to be in court. Do you plan to be at the hearings?
Yeah, every single one.
One thing back to the affidavit that I think a lot of people were surprised by was the fact that one of their roommates was awake when the killer walked by, and that the 911 call wasn't made until hours and hours later. Do you know any more about why that might be?
I don't have any other information for that. I do know Dylan is really young, and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments because you don't know what you would do in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's people online, obviously, it's totally inappropriate at this point. And you're right, no one knows how they would handle a situation like that or what was really happening. I mean, we only know what's in the probable cause so far. Is there anything you've learned that connects Kohberger to any of the victims here? Last I talked to your dad, he said the family was looking for connections, but there wasn't anything really apparent at this point.
Yeah, I think we're still going to keep looking. I've had a lot of people reach out with, you know, Instagram posts or even Spotify or lots of connections that they've been able to find. And those are super valuable. All of those go over to, you know, the Moscow Police Department as well as the Idaho State Police and the FBI, because nothing is insignificant at this point, and everything is being looked through.
There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Kohberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times before, late at night, early hours. He's presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning of, before police had been called, I think to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities, the theories, the conspiracies, and everything in between.
How did you first find out, Olivia, that there was an arrest?
My mom actually told me. I had been staying at her house. Me and my husband were upstairs, and she came up the stairs. It was probably around 11 o'clock at night, the day before the arrest had been made. At the time, we didn't know what state, and we didn't even have a name. We just knew that a suspect was in custody.
And what was your reaction when you were able to read through? I think I was texting you. I was in line in court trying to read the affidavit on my phone. What was your reaction when you were first able to read through all of it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that that's been the hardest part of this, is to sit back and look at the totality of it. When my sister was FaceTiming me about a new egg bites recipe, he was planning his next visit to the home. And that's really difficult. It's really difficult not to wish that you had done more, wish that you had known more. But it's just the first step. A lot more evidence will come out. And I'm confident that Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police, and the FBI have the right person. And I thank them from the very bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I had never really thought about it that way. When you go through the timeline and the affidavit and see all the dates of when the cell phones pinged, you can actually go back. And I know you talk to your sister every day. You can actually go back and think of your conversations from those specific times.
Yeah, you know, the August 21st date, I can go back and remember the conversation that I had with Kaylee that day, and how normal everything was, and the fact that we had no idea, she had no idea, I had no idea that true evil was genuinely watching them.
So this is certainly something that your family never envisioned that you would be going through. But I think what's so amazing about you guys is you're already trying to turn this tragedy into good in some way. Can you talk a little bit about, I know you're in the early stages of perhaps setting up a foundation to remember Kaylee, but tell me about your family's plans going in that direction.
Yeah, so from the beginning, we've definitely wanted to set up something that's Kaylee and Maddie's legacy going forward. But for, you know, up until there was an arrest made, we weren't really sure what that meant, you know, what exactly we were standing for and standing against. And now that we are starting to be able to put some of those pieces together, we're really, I guess, excited. I don't know if that's the right word, to be able to set up a foundation or a nonprofit or something in the girls' honor in some way, to be able to help other families like us the best way that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll be looking forward to that, and we'll of course want to share that information. And I know people want to know how they can help. Olivia, I don't think people realize, you know, you've got kids, you're pregnant, you have in many ways been the backbone for your family behind the scenes. You've been very, very strong, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for coming on. Okay. We're going to be sharing more ways about how you can actually help keep the memories of Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana alive. That's going to be coming up later in the show. We are live tonight, this entire hour, from Moscow, Idaho.
So we were wondering in the chat, do you know really Voice for the Voiceless? He's 37? Because it said online that it was it's like unknown. And I was like, what? It says NewsNation. I'll have to share this tab. It says his age and everything. And it just says it says something where it was unknown. And I was like, how does that say it says around 40 to 45 years, but I don't know. So his birthday is April 20th, it looks like. I don't know. It says late 30s up here or early 40s. It says he hasn't revealed his date of birth. Isn't that weird? Okay, let me see. I think this is Banfield. Yeah. But you found 37. That sounds right. I'm 37. 37. Oh, Courtney said it's 37 too. Give that man a raise and a vacation for real. He's been covered. I don't think he likes to be warm, because I've only seen him in the studio one time. He's always outside. And I seen him in his car once. But yeah, Brian Entin is, I think he's a really good reporter. I think that Ashley Banfield is a really good reporter as well. They're very, very, very nice. Actually, we did a live and we showed the videos of the Gonzalez family when they did their first interview. Kaylee's mom and dad, after finding out that Brian was, charged with the murders. And they actually they told Ashley at the end of the segment, they thanked her for covering the story And I thought that was incredibly nice of them. And then they said, we want to thank your colleague also, Brian Entin. He's been out with us this whole time. He's been really great. For them to do that, I just thought was so nice. It was like another, like, makes you want to cry, because how much nicer can the people be? These victims' families are just incredibly nice. Found his phone number, voice for the voiceless. She's got him on lock. She's like, man, if we ever need someone's phone number, know where to go. Wish I was still in my 30s. He is a cutie. He is. And he definitely does a good job. But I couldn't believe that his age wasn't on there. But yeah, so I guess we could sleuth it out if we needed to. Yeah, but it said that, what else did I have written down? I guess that was it. I was like, what else did I have written down? Eaton could be my son. Oh, I know. I know that I say it wrong. I say, like, my accent is bad. I know it's like Entin, but I say like Eaton. My accent is just, oh, that's me. That's me. I can't pronounce the words right. That's Ohio. That's what Ohio did to me. That's what my parents would say. They'd say, that's not from Pennsylvania. Yeah, I think that, yeah, she kind of did skirt around a little bit of the questions a little bit, but I think she knew that they were going to ask her about Dylan encountering, Brian, and I think they wanted to know what she would say. Okay, I'm going to turn this back up now.
Moscow, Idaho. For 47 days, police were tight-lipped about what happened inside this house, giving basically no information about a suspect or even a person of interest. But what we didn't know was that they had someone in their sights nearly the entire time. Bryan Kohbergers, a criminology student in neighboring Pullman, Washington. And as we dig into what we know about him, some of the pieces to this puzzle start to come together even more.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohbergers in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee.
Bryan Kohbergers, a criminology student, now one of America's most notorious inmates. He grew up in Pennsylvania. He attended high school in the area near the Poconos Mountains. A former friend telling NewsNation's Chris Cuomo that Brian was bullied as a teenager.
He was always good to me. Now, over the years, that has changed. I know going into his senior year, he lost a lot of weight. It was then I hear that he might have become the bully.
She also claims Brian had a drug problem.
And you had experience with him using you to try to get drugs, right?
Yes, he did use me, and I didn't know at the time that he was using me to drive him to get heroin until probably a couple of days afterwards.
An old running partner says when he heard about the arrest, he was shocked.
I looked at the picture and I couldn't believe who it was. It was Bryan Kohbergers. I would text him like, hey, you want to go for a run? We'd go for 6-7 mile runs at night.
Bryan Kohbergers.
Kohbergers got his bachelor's degree here at DeSales University back in 2020 and then a master's degree from their criminal justice program. A spokeswoman for the school says they are absolutely distraught by what is happening. Something really interesting. There is a world-renowned forensic psychology professor who works here who reportedly actually taught Kohbergers.
Joining me tonight is Dr. Catherine Ramsland. She is the forensic psychologist.
Dr. Catherine Ramsland, professor, consultant, and most famous for her in-depth interviews with Dennis Rader, known as the BTK killer.
He asked me to solve a series of codes, and I was willing to pass the test.
Dr. Ramsland wrote his autobiography, and she talked about it on NewsNation last year with Marnie Hughes.
He obviously liked the attention and the publicity then, and perhaps he still does now. Why give him a voice and a platform to share his thoughts and experiences?
I did this project because I wanted to benefit law enforcement, criminal justice, and psychology, and we want to learn about the early red flags in the life of someone like this who doesn't have the typical serial killer background.
Dr. Ramsland tells us she's not making any comments about Kohberger or the case at this time.
My first reaction was just like my stomach churned.
But Dennis Rader's daughter telling NewsNation the revelation concerned her.
Do you think he may have had any sort of communication with your father?
Knowing how personally connected Ramsland is to my father, I would not be surprised if Kohberger had at least tried to write my father.
Kohberger also worked part-time as security at his old high school. After getting his master's, he moved to Pullman, becoming a PhD candidate and teaching assistant at Washington State University, just across the border from Idaho. He lived in an on-campus apartment. The affidavit for arrest claims Kohberger applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in 2022, saying in his essay he was interested in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. He also posted a survey on Reddit asking for volunteers for a research study where he was studying the criminal mind. He wanted to know about the emotional and psychological considerations for people who had been convicted of crimes, asking questions like, why did you choose that victim? What was the first move they made? How did you leave?
He had to make absolutely sure you understood that he was small.
A former classmate giving insight into Kohberger's demeanor right before winter break.
I did notice that he became a little chattier. He became a little more animated. Mostly what I noticed, though, is he was always showing up a little late, and he was always showing up with a cup of coffee in hand. He seems like he was more exhausted.
Kohberger has not entered his plea yet. The father of victim Kaylee Gonzalez saying this about seeing the man accused of killing his daughter for the first time.
I expected him to be a bigger monster and more intimidating.
I mean, I'm like, this is the guy?
Sitting in the county jail, and according to the sheriff, they're trying to accommodate his vegan diet. The reporter who interviewed Kohberger's aunt telling NewsNation's Ashley Banfield about Kohberger's so-called food fetish.
She said it went beyond being vegan. He required his aunt and uncle to buy brand new pots and pans for him to eat out of because he refused to eat from anything that had meat ever cooked in it. And she said it seemed to be an OCD type of situation.
Kohberger's immediate family saying in a statement, "We will continue to let the legal process unfold, and as a family we will love and support our son and brother. We have fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions." For Kaylee's family, they say they now have a clear picture of what justice looks like.
Justice doesn't have a room where you can read books and you can go to school and you can have 3 meals and you can have your vegan diet. To me, that's not justice. Justice is when you leave the planet and the whole world is able to rejoice and be glad that you are not there.
Okay, so there is still so much left to uncover about this investigation, the evidence and the motive. We are live tonight from Moscow, Idaho. Up next, the bombshell that one of the surviving roommates saw the killer. Coming up, a retired FBI agent with a theory on why he may have spared her life. Plus, the tool that could eliminate unsolved murders once and for all.
In this market, you'll...
Okay. Yeah, no, they're doing a good job on this report tonight. I wonder who else are going to have on here. I was trying to see if they were going to have anybody else. And let me see if anything's going on out in the world that we need to know about. Because you never know. It seems like when we go live, there's always something. There's always something that happens. Okay, let's see. No, I don't see anything. I am doing a live tomorrow morning also at 9:15. If you guys are in the market for another live, I'll be doing one. And we're going to be talking about, actually we're going to be going over if Dylan in fact did maybe see Brian, the suspect, when he was coming in the house that night, or when he was exiting, the house that night. And I found another, a new 3D animation that kind of is more in depth that we can go over. It won't be a super long live, but I'll be here for a little bit. I have to go to the eye surgeon tomorrow for a checkup. I had eye surgery back in October. So on the old right eye, they put a stent in my tear duct. That's going to be fun to take out tomorrow. That's what they said. They said that they were going to take it out maybe. So I don't know. We'll see. You'll know if I post pictures of me crying. Just kidding. I usually don't cry. But I've never had a stent taken out of my tear duct. So she had to have, otherwise it would be legal document surely. So did you guys hear about the way that they listed off the victims' names in court? In the chat last night, I was talking to somebody, I was talking about it, and someone had heard from someone that is a lawyer that when they do name them off like that in a certain order, then that's like the way that they like passed away, were murdered. What happened to my eye? So I was in a car accident back in 2014. I was the passenger, and we hit a tree going 60 miles per hour. So all on the front passenger side, my side. The engine came in the floorboard of the car and trapped me underneath for about 2.5 hours of my life. And then I got a bunch of new gear. So I got a bunch of metal titanium plates in my face. I have them in my wrist, leg, both legs, and my foot. So that's why my name's TitaniumBuilt. If you were wondering the name, that's why my name's TitaniumBuilt. And my name's Tanya, so that's my real name. If you guys want to call me Tanya, you guys can call me Tanya. Either one. I don't prefer one over the other. But yeah, so it was a really bad car accident. I lost my eye, in fact. So this one's a fake. It's borrowed. No, I paid for it. It's mine. It's got my initials on it and everything. Oh, thank you. Yeah, me too. I shouldn't have survived. I shouldn't have. But for some reason, I was not going to go out that way. I was like, nope, not doing it. So I ended up having to learn how to re-walk, re-talk, re-eat. I had my mouth wired shut for 8 weeks. Your girl was doing, it was bad. It was bad. But now I have a better understanding for life. So, all right, here we go.
NewsNation special report.
Sorry, I didn't mean to blast that on your guys' ears.
Live from Moscow. The arrest affidavit for this case revealed so much that we did not know. 18 pages worth. But that's only just a piece of this investigation, the minimum, as some experts we talked to say. Some of it will come out in a potential trial. Other parts will have to lean on some of our experts to basically fill in the gaps until we find out more. And joining me now is retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Bobby, thank you so much for being with us. The first thing I want to ask you that has a lot of people puzzled is this surviving roommate who apparently saw the killer walk by. Do you think the killer saw her? And if so, why may he have spared her life?
Well, it's a great question, Brian, and I think he did see her, but looking at the affidavit with the phone records and where he was, I think he had a certain plan. There was a plan in place that he had for this house. So he was executing a plan as he thought it was going to go in his mind. Now, all of the times that people do this, things go wrong. He might have only planned on 2 victims, and it turned out to be 4. I think that the rage that he had that was building in the days and weeks leading up to the murders, I think all came out, and I think the opposite side of that rage is an adrenaline crash. And I think that after the 4th victim, it's entirely possible he crashed. He was simply so exhausted. And then you get kind of tunnel vision. He was looking to get out of that house as quickly as he could. And the other 2 people downstairs were not part of his plan. And so he walked right by her to get out of the house. So I think it's entirely possible he was simply too exhausted, and it wasn't part of the plan that he had envisioned.
One of the creepiest things about this for me when I read over the affidavit was that he is accused of coming back to the house. That's what the cell phone records indicate, around 9:15 in the morning after the murders. Is it possible? I mean, do you think he may have been going back to go back inside? Do you think he realized that he left the knife sheath there?
It could be, but I don't think so. I think this is sometimes classic criminal behavior where they revisit the scene of the crime. I think he might have gone back there to see if there were ambulances or police cars. He probably expected the police to be there already. And I think he went back to look for police or what kind of activity was taking part at the house. Sometimes the thrill, we've seen people stand behind police lines at fires. Arsonists do this a lot. And so I think that he was driving by to see the basically the fruits of his actions. If there were, there should have been by that time a lot of police activity and ambulance activity. So I think that might be, it's impossible to tell. This is all speculation on my part, but I think it's quite possible that he was going back there to expect to see a lot of police activity.
Yeah, and like you said, we hear that people like this get a very weird, strange thrill from things like that. Let's talk about these traffic stops in Indiana. There were the 2 stops. Very suspicious. The FBI has come out and said that they didn't organize the stops. I mean, do you think it's possible that this was really just a coincidence that Kohberger and the dad got pulled over twice on the way back to Pennsylvania?
Well, I think it's possible now. I originally thought that it might have been orchestrated because it's an investigative technique that I myself used when I used to work the mafia in New York City. We used to have the NYPD radio cars, the uniform patrol, pull them over to ID who was in the car and things like that. So I think, I thought originally that at least the first one was orchestrated, probably not the second one, because you never want to do 2 of these too close together because the suspect can raise their suspicion that the police are onto them. So initially I thought the first one, particularly because it was a sheriff, and the sheriffs don't usually do traffic enforcement on the interstates. That's usually the state troopers, which the second stop was a state trooper. So I think when the FBI, they have no reason to lie that they didn't orchestrate it. This is a perfectly valid and legal investigative tool, and they wouldn't want to jeopardize the case by lying about it afterwards and things. So I think that, that if they didn't orchestrate it, now it could have been orchestrated by the Idaho State Police. That's something that people have said, and that's perfectly possible. But I think right now it might be just really a really weird coincidence.
Yeah, crazy coincidence. But you mentioned it. I mean, if it made him suspicious, there's the reports that once he got to Pennsylvania, he had the gloves on. He was moving the trash from his parents' house to the neighbor's house. So that all certainly came into play. I want to ask you about the knife, because I have heard, according to sources, that one possible defense strategy here could be trying to say that knife will not match up to the wounds. Do you think that could possibly come into play at a trial?
Well, it could, and the defense could certainly make that allegation. There will be very detailed testimony by the medical examiners and by people that are experts in wound patterns with this knife. Now, normally, depending on the stab wound, but sometimes you can actually match the knife up right to the wound. In this case, if the wounds are too graphic, if they're too gross, if they were too much together, you may not be able to get the exact knife fit in. So it all depends on the wound pattern. But I anticipate you will have the medical examiner or coroner give expert testimony for the prosecution. The defense will probably have its own experts come in and make an allegation exactly the way you described. I don't know that will prevail, but it's something the defense, is certainly open to trying.
So they don't discuss motive at all in the probable cause affidavit, Bobby. Do you think they know a motive at this point and just aren't revealing it, or you think they're still looking?
I think they've got an idea of the motive, and they're looking for more evidence of that motive. Now, remember, to me as an investigator, motive was the least important thing I did. Because most murder statutes, you don't need to prove why somebody does it. My main thrust as an investigator was, who did this crime and how do I prove it? How do I help the prosecution get a conviction? The why of it, the who, what, when, where, and why, the why of it was always the least important for me, unless it led to other things in the investigation, unless it is to blunt a defense motion, a defense assertion that it was, self-defense or something like that. So I think that prosecutors always like a motive. They always like to tell the jury the story of why this happened. But the why certainly is not needed for a conviction. It's not required by a statute. Most murder statutes don't require the why, but I think they have an idea. But that's always the most nebulous part of a case like this, is the why of it, because quite frankly, there is no rational reason to do this. And when we find out the why, it will be very unsatisfying.
Interesting. I only have about 15 seconds left. Real quick, they say they don't have the murder weapon. They may have found it and just not told us yet. But can they use the cell phone records to go back, follow his drive, and look for the knife?
I mean, they could. They could. It's a very long search, but there's a lot of area to search. I don't know if they're already searching or not, but they don't need the knife for a conviction, but it would be very, very nice to have.
Okay. Interesting. Bobby Chacon, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, coming up next, the key evidence and why getting a conviction is not always a sure thing. We're going to talk about it. We are live tonight in Moscow, Idaho.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, black clothes wouldn't show blood. Yeah, we're wondering about is this going on commercial or? Oh yeah, I think it is. Hold on, let me see. I don't want to. Okay, yeah. Okay, just making sure. I think that he either way. Yeah, I think he probably wore black clothes, or maybe he put something over his clothes, because he was trying to think. He was trying to be smart when he was committing this crime. I mean, as hard as that is to like, I mean, it's funny because it's like comical because it's so bad, you know. It's like he just did everything wrong. He could have wrote the book on what not to do in a crime. But like, I do feel like maybe he would have something over his clothing, like a poncho. You could buy those at like the dollar store, you know, just buy something that put over your clothes. And then maybe I think he got rid of everything the next day because he traveled from Lewistown, I think, where he was at Albertsons and got coffee. And then he went to Albertsons, the grocery store, and he bought some things and it says the items are unknown. So I don't know if the police know what they are or if they don't know either, but they said they saw him on surveillance. So I don't know how they can't pull the receipt somehow unless I don't know, maybe paid cash, but still you think that he would know the time frame he was there. You could get the register status down, like, you know, like which register he was on by the security tape, then go pull the receipt. They have to know what he bought. I mean, that seems like that would be easy to figure out. So whatever he bought, he took it on the road with him, and he went an hour and a half away, 2 hours away from his house. So an hour and a half from where he was located at the grocery store, and then 2 hours from Pullman. He went out and then he turned his cell phone off for 3 hours. Again, he turned his cell phone off. So to me, that sounds like getting rid of something that you shouldn't have. And I think that that's what he was doing out there for sure. When I read that yesterday, I came and did a timeline. I did a whole live on it yesterday. In the beginning of the live, we kind of went over it. And then we watched the 48 hours special. But yeah, I was really surprised when I was reading that because I was like, wait a minute, because I've never even heard of these places. So I had to like get on Google Maps and like really go through and like look at these places because I had no idea. Johnson, Idaho is like a dot on the map. It's probably doesn't even have that many people in it. I don't even think it has like a post office because it literally was hard to find. It was a hard place to kind of find. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you just got to find the humor. It's, oh my gosh, it's like, that's like a cape front and back. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think I mean, I don't know. Or maybe he didn't have clothes with him. Maybe he didn't bring, because my theory was maybe he took some of Ethan's clothes when he left, but I don't think that anymore. I don't think that he had time to do any of that stuff. Like 16 minutes, he was in and out. That to me is in and out. You couldn't get me to even walk. Like you couldn't even get me to walk into someone's house for $1 million without their consent, let alone do all that in 16 minutes. I would just be like standing at the door like, I can't do it. Even if they knew I was coming and they knew me, I couldn't do it. My anxiety would be like so high. But I guess that's the difference between me and him because he's just walking into court like it's nothing. Like to me, he doesn't look like he's blank to me. Dan said he was dressed in black. He was less than 16 minutes. Yeah, he was less than 16 minutes in there. I can't even believe that concept doesn't even. Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, he could have had some sort of uniform on. Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I did. That's what I started doing. And I started down a rabbit hole because I was only going to do like the day of. I was only going to do like the time period of the crime. And then I just started going on and on and on. And I was like, wow, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna turn it up like slowly this time.
The most important element of this case is if it goes to trial is going to be DNA. We now know crime scene technicians expertly located evidence from the suspect at the scene. We asked NewsNation's Nancy Liu to look into the different ways DNA is used in crime fighting.
Brian, it's a technique called investigative genetic genealogy. It is relatively new, and it is solving cases at an incredible clip. DNA started cracking cases in the 80s. Tommy Lee Andrews, the nation's very first conviction, going to prison for rape after Central Florida investigators used a lab paternity test advertised with a "wearing his daddy's jeans" slogan.
He's as despicable looking as I thought.
Fast forward to 2018. The Golden State Killer left behind DNA for decades, but the rapist and murderer, a police officer, had no DNA in the system. Then police turned to emerging genetic genealogy websites to connect to Joseph DeAngelo's relatives.
It's important to understand that we don't solve the case. We provide them the name of a person that most likely left the DNA.
Denver's former district attorney Mitch Morrissey co-founded United Data Connect after more than 3 decades as a prosecutor. He credits investigative genetic genealogy with an explosion of cold case arrests.
I've seen police officers bust tables in pizza restaurants and gotten saliva off of pizza and off of forks and that kind of thing.
That's how agents in Pennsylvania got a critical DNA match in the Moscow murders, scooping a piece of trash from the Kohberger family home in late December, sending it to the Idaho State Crime Lab. Technicians comparing that to a sample of a single source male's DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath.
Recording.
A match with Bryan Kohbergers' father, ostensibly using tried and true technology, the equivalent of the paternity test that convicted Tommy Lee Andrews.
We're working with second, third, fourth, fifth cousins and beyond.
Investigative genetic genealogist Cece Moore shows just how far the science has come, recently cracking the Honolulu murder of Nancy Anderson after 50 years. Well-preserved DNA got tested again more thoroughly, finding a retired deputy attorney general in Nevada. Similar to the Idaho case, police getting a DNA sample from his son before moving in to make the arrest.
That's you. That looks just like your mother.
Just last month, DNA helped a family reunite with Melissa Highsmith, who was abducted by a babysitter 51 years ago.
And I just started weeping and crying, and my daughters were crying, "She's alive, she's alive."
Genealogists stress there are only 2 companies sharing DNA profiles with law enforcement, and all those people have opted in.
It's a big misconception out there that we're able to use Ancestry DNA and 23andMe. They have over 40 million people in them. If we could use those databases, these cases would take an hour.
Cases where DNA is significant, 90% of the victims are women. The 10% that are left, about 9.5 are kids. So this is a science that we then add genealogy to when DNA hasn't been able to give us an answer that solves crimes against women and children.
In 4 short years, this DNA technique cracking around 400 violent crimes, mostly cold cases, an urgent push now on to put new killers in its crosshairs.
There is no reason we need to have serial killers, Ted Bundy types, serial rapists, because we can identify them after the first violent crime now.
In this case, science already vetted in courtrooms across the country, helping to reel in the suspected killer of 4 college kids.
They were able to quickly identify him, get him into custody. These hopefully were his only victims.
The FBI now has its own investigative genealogy capabilities. Most state crime labs contract that work out to private companies. Brian?
The defense team is already hard at work trying to poke holes in the case. We're going to dive into that part of the story coming up next. We are live from Moscow, Idaho.
Next, meticulous planning and countless steps to make this case a slam dunk.
You don't want the slightest thing to happen.
Is it enough to get a conviction?
Okay, so does anyone feel like that he, I feel like he worked alone, but does anyone feel like that he had like a partner in all this, or he worked with anybody? I always ask, I feel like, in the chat, but I didn't do a poll tonight. Because you never know. Other people are in different chats. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that he would, you know, want to have anybody take any of the credit if he got away with this. Because I think in his mind, he might have thought that he was gonna get away with it. And okay, so here's another question for you guys. Do you guys think that it was targeted towards like the people in the house, or do you think that he might have done this just to see if he could get away with it, and that the people had nothing to do with it, but he just wanted to know if he could get away with it? Because now I'm on the fence with it. I'm on the fence with that one. I don't know if it was I don't think it was the home. I think it was a person, or it was the life that they like, you know, that they led, and like it was a jealousy thing. You know, he was just jealous of maybe all of that. I mean, that's plausible. But he did definitely go there 12 different times. So I think that, you know, like, I just don't know if it was a person or if it was their like life that he was jealous of. You know what I mean? Like I think either way, it's a person, but yeah, I think maybe he just wants to he just wants to try to beat the system. Because in the beginning of this case, I think it was even before we found out that he was a PhD student. Me and Vincent were talking about it, and he said, I think this was somebody that wanted to see if he can get away with it. And I was like, that's not what it is. And then I thought I knew more than him. And then apparently I didn't, because this guy comes out, you know, of left field. Literally, we were on a live when we found out that he got arrested. You guys were in the chat going, oh my God, someone got arrested. And I'm just like, what? I mean, it was literally out of left field. You think that he was liking one of the girls that lived there? See, that's what I was thinking too. At first I was thinking that. I'm still thinking that though. I'm still thinking he liked one of the girls. And I'm thinking it was Kaylee or Maddie. And I'm thinking maybe more Kaylee is what I'm leaning towards. But that I don't know. No, I didn't. Did you send that to me? Because I didn't get to go through the videos yet. I need to go through them tomorrow. I have some more videos to watch too. I have like a couple hour ones to do. I got all kinds of videos to watch tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment, but I can listen as I'm there. Yeah, so yeah, he definitely, yeah, it definitely was targeted, but I didn't know if maybe he like had targeted that place to where it was like, that's the house I'm going to get to where I'm going to plot my perfect crime. And maybe that's what he was thinking. Like, I'm just going to plot the perfect crime, and he disassociated himself with the people in the house. Or I'm wondering if it was more, you know, the other way. Like he was more trying to get somebody in the house. Let me see. I'll turn this up slowly for you guys.
Scene that seemed a Herculean task to process. It has now evolved to forensic investigations in 2 additional states, the processing of a car, and so much more happening behind the scenes. We asked NewsNation's Robert Sherman to look into all of the components of forensics and the judicial process that have to go right to actually win a conviction. It's such an important part of all of this. And Robert joins us now from the crime scene in Moscow tonight. Robert.
Good evening to you, Brian. And the goal for law enforcement at this point can be summed up in 2 words: investigation, perfection.
The 4 were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time.
From forensics in Idaho to pre-dawn capture in Pennsylvania.
It was on the door. Force was used for evening search warrants.
Police, prosecutors, and the courts working hard to bring their A game.
And you don't want the slightest thing to happen.
Retired FBI agent Kathy Geider isn't surprised to see top-notch investigative techniques like 3D imaging used in the processing of the King Road murder scene. And crime techs spending more than 12 hours at Bryan Kohbergers' Pullman, Washington apartment, carting off a computer tower and more. Also a routine part of a well-executed law enforcement script.
Every location that comes up, now you have more evidence teams out there, whether it's digital evidence, communication being part of that, whether it's fingerprints, shoe prints, all the different technologies out there. Very, very time consuming.
The investigation, evidence processing, even search warrants and Miranda rights must be perfect or the defense can pounce.
The one thing that I'm not seeing
in this arrest affidavit is a motive for this crime. Did Mr. Kohberger know these victims? If not, the defense is really going to be drilling in on that.
Federal criminal defense attorney Tama Cudman looked over the gag order now covering the case. It's an extensive one, she says, and necessary for both the defense and the prosecution.
To the extent that any information is being leaked into the jury, they may be tainted. And if you want to have a fair trial, we have to protect them from these kinds of leaks.
What might seem like missteps, like the beginning of hazardous material cleaning of the house that abruptly stopped.
But the sheeting has come down.
We'll get scrutiny for potentially damaging Kohberger's due process.
Could be for the defense counsel, could be that they just want to hold it for a little bit.
We call that spoliation of the evidence in criminal defense lingo, and that is going to most certainly be an issue.
A new crime scene expert spent most of Tuesday in and out of the home. Hired by the defense, this forensic specialist is carrying 3D imaging technology, also used by detectives. He also specializes in crime scene reconstructions and blood pattern analysis. His career splitting nearly equal time testifying for and against criminal suspects.
Good morning.
How y'all doing today?
The 2 Indiana traffic stops of suspect Kohberger and his dad are of little surprise to retired Agent Guider.
You've got the people that are going to, look just at the linguistics of what did he say, why did he say it at that particular time. You are combing every part of that vehicle, seats, under the seats, the floor mats, every little piece is being evaluated for the potential evidence.
A former member of an FBI mobile surveillance team, she notes the deputies talkative verification of who's behind the wheel, but it's the car and what it might hold that is just as intriguing.
I would caution everyone, most certainly we have enough information and evidence for probable cause to arrest, but that does not mean that we have enough evidence for proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Everything has to be meticulous from this point on.
A swirl of DNA evidence, digital data, and investigative procedure that must be spot on so that justice can be served for 4 young lives.
This whole community and nation was desperate for speedy answers, and at times it seemed as though this case might never be solved. But we now know less than 2 weeks after those murders took place, Moscow police was asking other law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for that white Hyundai Elantra. A cautious investigation yielding this arrest, Brian.
Thank you, Robert. We are staying centered on the victims and their families as we continue with this special live from Moscow, Idaho.
Coming up next, how you can help honor the memories of Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana.
I was thinking I should.
For real, said he has bushy eyebrows, just saying. That's so funny because I didn't think that he had bushy eyebrows. Like, I didn't think that they were that bushy. In my opinion, because my boyfriend has really bushy eyebrows. Like, really bushy. They're like, there's 2 of them, but they're like, they need thinned out. The boy needs them thinned out. I mean, even my nephew has said something. So I had to ask him, I was like, are these bushy eyebrows? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, because, I mean, he has 2 of them. They look like they got a little bit of a curve to them. Like, I mean, to me, that, I don't know. To me, like, I didn't think that they looked bushy. I'll give them that. I'll give the defense that. Like, when I think of bushy, I think of, like, little caterpillars on your face. But I wonder what the defense lawyer is going to do for him, because I heard that she's pretty good for being, like, a public defender. I heard she's good. I don't know. How long did it take him to get home when he took that super long? Yeah, exactly. I think it was 30 minutes, wasn't it? 30 minutes to get home instead of like it would have normally taken him like 10 or 15. I know. I have a picture of him back there too. I have to bring him up I have to bring a picture of him because he'll never get on the camera. He's watching us. Don't worry. He's always watching. No, he was sleeping earlier with the dogs. It was cute. He took a nap. Because I've been in here, like, I was in here for 2 hours before the live even started, just getting ready for the live. Getting ready. I know, with the not muscular. I know. I wonder what he's thinking on, like, some of the stuff. And I'm wondering, okay, so that's a big thing too. I'm wondering how he is feeling now that he's back in Idaho and he knows all of the evidence that's against him. because he wanted to come back here. He was like, oh, I waived my right to extradition. No problem there. Send me back. We all probably assume that's because he wants to know what's in the probable cause. When they released that, I wonder if he was like, oh, they have nothing, or if he was like, oh, crap, I'm in deep crap. You know, I wonder what he was thinking. I wonder what he's thinking right now. I mean, he has all the time in the world to think. They ain't even giving him no cards to play with or nothing in there. They're not taking no chances with him. I had to take a 3-day break. I finally posted a video today on my channel. Oh, I'll have to look. Because we have a lot of people with channels in here today. If you guys have a channel, yeah, just drop your link in there. Tell people you have a channel. Because we have a lot of good creators that come in. I've noticed into my chat, we have a lot of really good creators that come in. And I love having other people in. It makes me feel like you guys are all here and I'm your host and you're my guests. And believe me, take your shoes off, relax, feel like you are a guest in my home. Because that's how I would treat you if you were here. I'd say, come and sit on my blue chair. And Rocky isn't there. He actually made his debut, my cat did. In 2 of my pre-recordeds, I did 2 pre-recordeds, I think it was yesterday or day before. He is in both of them. And he's never ever been in a video, I don't think. So you'll have to go check him out. He's 14 or 15. The cat's been with me for my whole life, it seems like. So he's my buddy. Oh, here we go.
Since the murders here in Moscow, Idaho, since 4 families' lives changed forever. And this town, really a beautiful, quaint, quiet, normally safe college town, was thrust into the national spotlight. And even Bryan Kohbergers' family now in a situation that they likely never imagined they would be in. We will continue to follow the court process and every new detail we can confirm, not rumors or speculation, just only the facts. But throughout, we must all be mindful of the families. Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie's parents, brothers, sisters, and friends. There are things you can do to help. Xana's family has set up a scholarship endowment at the University of Idaho. Ethan's fraternity, Sigma Chi, also has a memorial scholarship fund, and Kaylee and Maddie's family, as you heard, they are in the process of setting up a foundation to try and make some good out of this awful, awful tragedy. We will continue to be here. We will be in the courtroom Thursday covering this case for however long it takes for justice to play out. We thank you so much for watching this NewsNation special report. Join us for a Twitter Spaces conversation on Twitter in a couple of moments. And for now, I am Brian Entin, live in Moscow, Idaho.
I was muted. That's okay. So, that's the end of the report. I have so many tabs open for tomorrow. Guys, the live is going to be, I'm like, it's not going to be a long live, but it won't be. Let me see. That was a pretty good special, though. So, yeah, the college that Bundy went to, I think you guys said it, and there was like, what was it? Washington was one of them, and then University of Utah. I mean, he's taking points. If you guys could like the video, that would mean the world to me. It's free to do, and it just takes 1 little second, 1 little click of the mouse. I did get a new mouse today because I can't stand like certain noises. I have like really sensitive ears, and so like the clicking of the mouse, it was getting on my nerves. I don't think you guys could really even hear it that much, but I could hear it. So no more. You can't not hear. Look, nothing at all. I love that. Was Bundy in a fraternity? No, he wasn't in a fraternity. He just liked to go after pretty girls, and one of the sets of girls that he went after was, it was a sorority house, and I think it was 4 girls ended up being brutally slain. Well, 2 of them survived, 2 of them didn't, and I think that he used a baseball bat. I want to say like a bat. It was just crazy. And then he drove. So then he drove after that, Lex Luthor. So he drove all the way around, he went the long way home and all that good stuff, thinking that he was smart, which he turned his phone on before he even got home. Like, why didn't you just turn it on the next morning or something, brother? Because people just need their phone. Like, they have to have it. So then he, and I did a live on this last night. I have like a timeline. That day of the murders, he comes back like, at 9:12 to 9:21 a.m. And then he leaves. He goes to Albertsons grocery. After he leaves the grocery, he goes to what's called Johnson, Idaho. And that is an hour and 39 minutes from the grocery store. So we're all wondering what he's doing out there too. You have sensitive ears too, Princess Meg Elsa? Okay, good, because I'm not the only one. I got a new keyboard too, so it's not too loud. Like, I can't stand little noises like clicking, and it's just crazy. Someone said they said they were sad they didn't hear my dogs barking in the background. Because my girls, sometimes if they really need me, they'll be like, they'll let me know. They let me know. I just think that's so funny. An extended long drive that day was additional. Yeah, it was just, I think he was trying to not be seen or picked up by cameras. But in reality, everybody has a camera. Like I have a doorbell camera and I don't even have a doorbell. Like, I don't even have I'm in an apartment building inside of a building. So I already have a buzzer of the first door. So I really don't technically need one at the second door, but it just added precautions, And I actually got it after starting to do true crime. Brian speedy driving. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because there's even like a lot of different places on the way to Johnson, which he wouldn't even have to go that far. There was a lot of like nature preserves we looked up last night on the live. I looked up like things to do on the route there. And there were so many different, like I said, nature preserves, like reserves, like waters, reservoirs. What was there? Like state parks, national parks. It was all wooded, and it was like, well, he could have been anywhere with that, and that's probably what he did with all of that stuff. He's OCD. Okay, so if he's OCD to where he is not going to eat meat out of a pan, he may also have cleanliness OCD, like. Because that's like borderline together almost with the food and stuff and the pan and I'm a very OCD. But I think that he would want to get rid of all of that blood, all of that stuff. I think that he'd want to get rid of it right away. I don't think he'd want to keep any of it. But I don't know. It says, playing devil's advocate, the affidavit states later his phone was not in Moscow, but pinged there. 3 cell towers, I think, and could ping, but not near the house because of how close Moscow and Pullman are. I thought I saw something about that in there too. So I have to read that again, Robin's Nest, because we were talking about that affidavit earlier. I haven't went on like over that part, but I did see that. You're writing a book. You're at 45K words trying to get to 75K. Oh, when you have put those numbers, it makes me think of like college, but it wasn't nothing near that. It would be like, you have to do 1,000-word essay. And it's like, what? And you're doing like all kinds of like ands, making up words that aren't even in the English language, but you're like, this will pass. I went to school for criminal justice too, you'd think. But I didn't go to commit crimes, Yeah, you would think, vegans don't like blood. You would think that's like, because I know when I was vegetarian, a lot of it had to do with like the blood and stuff in it. Like it really did. It had to do with, I don't know why I just was turned off my meat. Well, someone told me this will happen. Somebody told me that if you die and you eat meat, you die with like 5 pounds of like meat in you or something. I don't know. When they told me that, I got spooked. So I was spooked from meat for a few months. But I would not want to be near when I was not a vegetarian, I didn't care about like seeing meat, blood, whatever. But when I was a vegetarian, I didn't want to see that at all. Like, no, I didn't. Affidavit belief stated that he wanted to or had applied or tried to get into an intern program. Yeah, with Ellie, but I wonder what kind of internship he was trying to get into specifically. That's a good question. Maybe something in like with the technical side of it, like because he was going to school for that. Like he was going to school for technology in like the cyber world or something. So he would have been doing like cyber crimes. He would have been doing the things that he like cell phone tower pings, I would say, like phone dumps, things like that, I would say. Yeah, the DNA on the sheath, especially on the part where it buckles. you know, I don't know. See, I wonder if they, so I don't know if they, I wonder if he applied and he was approved, or like, you know, if they accepted him, because they only say that he applied. They never say if he was accepted or not, did they? See, I'm wondering if he got denied. He might have been able to hack something. I don't know. I'll have to ask. Yeah, he took law enforcement classes in high school also. Yeah, you're right. He did that. He tried. He failed. He tried and he failed. It's like, don't you, it's like, that's me. I'm one of those people, like, it's like, I'll tell you not to do something and then I go and do it. And I feel like that's him too. But I do have a lot to go over tomorrow in our live. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean the world to me. And it would mean the world to me just for you to like this video and to come back and hang out with me again. But I am going to jump off of here because I have to go to the doctor. We have to drive an hour and a half to my surgeon's office tomorrow. And I have to do my live in the morning for you guys. So I'm going to jump off of here. I know that there's probably going to be some good lives going on tonight, though, I'm sure. You have several, yeah, I have several burner phones and I'm not serial killer. That's true. We don't know, but I don't think you are. I don't have any burner phones, but you know. But I hope you guys have a good evening and I hope you guys enjoyed the live. If you guys did enjoy the live and you appreciate the Taste Case coverage, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, like the video, all that good stuff. And I'll be back tomorrow to see you guys bright and early. So I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye, guys.